Hey Flyer friends, I thought we'd do something kind of fun today. I've got two engines here that are a little bit unique, and they seem to be pretty much cut from the same cloth, yet different. Check this out. Before us are two kind of unique sister engines, if you will. And one in the back there is a 285. It was made in 1952 only. And in the foreground is a 295, and it was made only in 1951. Now, what's interesting about these two engines is they both have sheet metal tenders with the horn in there. And for reasons that are not known by this guy, Flyer chose to put the horn inside these tenders. And I believe this is the only example that they ended up in a sheet metal tender. So that's kind of interesting. It's interesting that these were both made for 1 year only. This particular engine would have been the more expensive of the two. It's got a cast metal shell. You've got a metal whistle, metal bell, and a little bit more ornate superheater here. Well, I told you wrong. The thing at the front of this engine is not a superheater. It's a preheater. So if you got a boiler, let's say here's our boiler, and let's say here's our flame down here, and every so often, as you're making steam, it goes over here to your pistons, and those go over here to your wheels. Every so often, you need to put more water in the boiler. Now, if you use cold water from your tender back here, and you put that into your boiler without doing anything to it, your boiler temperature is going to go down, and you're going to lose steam pressure. And so what they found is, like in the example of the steam engine, is they take a pipe and they run it through the smoke box, and that would get a little bit of fire or excess heat that's being sent up the chimney anyhow into that water, so that when it came in the boiler, it was raised in temperature. And what that did is it kept the boiler from getting shocked and the temperature from dropping and from losing pressure. Pretty important if you're in a steam engine and you're climbing a hill pulling a heavy load. You don't want your boiler to suddenly lose pressure and as you add water. So that's what that is. Now, I mentioned it is superheater or a superheater. And what a superheater does is it takes this pipe here that comes off with the steam in it, and it actually, instead of going straight to the cylinder, it comes down here and goes through the fire again, and then comes back up here to the cylinder. And what it does when it comes back down here and does this is it gets a whole lot more energy into it, which makes it hotter, which gives it more power, which gives it more expansion, which just makes more efficiency. And so that is the difference. So a preheater preheats your water going into the boiler, and a superheater kind of double heats or triple heats the steam that's already being produced by the boiler. So sorry about that confusion. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Here in front, no traction tires, of course, and link coupler. So choo-choo, smoke, and light, headlight. But the tender is pretty boring. The sister here, made the next year, has a plastic shell. The tender has a Northwestern decal on it, so it's, it's kind of souped up a little bit. And this also has a choo-choo and smoke and working headlight with a metal bell here, with everything else being plastic. So in terms of just brute pulling strength, even though neither one of these has traction tires, of course, the cast metal engine will pull quite a bit more. It's also interesting that both of these tenders have the additional pickup that we've come to understand. Now these were done obviously to prevent issues with the horn inside. But they also aid in the overall electrical pickup of the engine. The other thing you may have noticed is quite a difference in smoke output, and I thought that was fascinating. The difference between these two engines is that I added a fifth wire to this one. Now, it didn't come that way from the factory, but basically what that does is it does straight power from the track up to the choo-choo headlight. And so you probably noticed the headlight was brighter and certainly was a much greater output of smoke. And this would have been just your standard 4-wire jack panel. So just something to note if you've been considering converting any of your engines to the fifth wire. It's not hard to do. I actually did this all myself. It does require a little bit of rewiring in how the reverse unit and the engine tie together. So you're going to want to have a diagram for that. And you can get 5-wire jack panels from Portlines and other places. So anyhow, just something kind of fun, kind of different. Hope you enjoyed this. Enjoy your American Flyer. Take care. God bless. We'll see ya.